Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome aboard to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob. I am at my breakfast spot, my lunch spot, my spot, and it's one of the places that has pretty good Wi-Fi. And when I have lots of things to do, I come here in this direction. I right now my finances are like they have been, you know. And my rich friends get very upset when I say this, but I'm living like a millionaire on $400 a month. Eh, I don't really buy anything. I don't really expend anything, um, except my love for you. That's what I expend. and um, so this morning got up, drank a little bit too much coffee, so my colon was well cleaned out, and so I'm good to go. My eyes are getting better. And so I'll be a total robot boy with my eyeballs, and that's a good thing. They're working on. It's interesting how the rich people are coming up near me, and I thought that would never happen because I'm like 50 miles to the closest WalMarts, right? and the issue of the day is so there's only so much land. There's this big, beautiful lake, and this mobster entity came and bought it all up, just like they did with Banner Elk and Boone and Old Man Mountain and all the things this side of the Blue Ridge, right? And so I'm like in this accordion between the Appalachian Mountain Range that comes from Florida up to upstate New York, and the Blue Ridge that kind of goes from Georgia up to D.C. And in between, there's this, you know, chunk where I am that's been squished, between these two geologic mountain ranges. And geologic and historical time is very interesting. If you look at the cataclysmic events, not the ice age kind of ones, but earthquakes, you know, things that have occurred that have rocked the planet and our solar system. Meaning there is a comet flying through our, things up in the sky have been really wild and crazy. Since basically since 2012, and we are given all these other things, Donny Boy, Donny Chump, and the used cars man, Biden, and we aren't, and wars and famines and pandemics, and these things happen all the time. If you look just at our history since World War II, we've had all these things, right? Political yahoos, and I remember the Hong Kong flu that killed millions, but we didn't even bat an eyelash on that. So, not to say that this thing wasn't real, it was just as Obama's bagman, the guy who became mayor of Chicago, that he totally turned it into the death capital of America, which again is just another advertising scheme. He basically said never overlook a catastrophe. And what Democrats love to do, because they're just two wings, Democrats, Republicans are just two wings of the same corporate bird, is to blame everything. They both blame everything on each other when they are working, behind closed doors together, right? Against you, just my political school is the school of George Carlin. Go watch George. His last 30 years of this is humor. I mean, he was a really smart guy. His books are really good. He's really a wordsmith. He really parses every word he says. And So when you hear things like people go on and on, like this guy goes on and on about, well, I like this. I get this thing. Come unto thee. It's a website that they drop, Bible texts on you, and I love the Bible. I just don't, it's a good. It's not even an owner's manual. It's a good, you know. What I have is I have the great Creator. I never like using the word God because when you take it all back Sumerian, it's not a pleasant word. But the unconditional burning bush, the work in progress is always, and what is that work in progress? But loves, unconditional love, unconditional love. The real problem in our world is the difference between conditional love and unconditional love. Our great Maker has unconditional love. There is no conditions, right? And that's why the Bible is, but it has some good stuff in it, right? And here's from Mark 12 point, 12:30 to 31. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all the mind and with all the strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. We cannot truly love God if we do not love our fellow travelers on this mortal journey. We are all spirit children. Thank you, my friend. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
As we keep this truth in mind, loving all of God's children will become easier. Father, we cannot truly love God if we do not love our fellow travelers on this mortal journey. We are all spirit children of our Heavenly Father, and such are the brothers and sisters. As we keep this truth in mind, loving all of God's children will become easier. Jesus Christ taught that we should love everyone. Learn more from this video. Okay, so that's, this little thing that drops, things from the Bible every day, like 5 or 10 of them. And so, I find them good, And so my everyday, what I do is I keep in my heart, the great Creator's love, unconditional love. That's what I keep in my heart. And Jesus' unconditional forgiveness in my head. And that nice little ditty, what would Jesus do, really works out well. When someone cuts me off, what would Jesus do? When something annoys me, what would Jesus do? And it's a good way to get me out. How do you get the bad thoughts out of your head? I just say that. Bing. The bad thought is out of my head. And let me say this. Here we're into this at 8 minutes and 48 seconds. I love it when that happens. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon to the two of you here. And welcome aboard Dreamy Dreamland. And anything that may upset you, just remember that this show has nothing to do with the reality that you believe in, right? This is just here for entertainment's sake, and it's like wallpaper. And a lot of people watch my show or listen to it as wallpaper. They don't do it live. Esoteric, how you doing, buddy? Did you see the golden light? I see a lot of golden lights. Right? But I live in a holler, so I live in a, I'm down here, so. And even though I cleared a lot of trees out, so I do get a nice, like last night, the moon was, I'm pretty much thinking it was full. And it was that. Is that the golden light you were talking about? Let's see. But pretty much, Esoteric, I hope you are really well. You had a vision. Tell me the vision, Esoteric. I love hearing people's visions. Arr. I myself have dreams. That's why, I exist in dreamy dreamland. When I went to Australia, I understood dreamy dreamland. I had experienced it all my life. I didn't know what it was until I lived with an Aboriginal tribe for a good almost year. So what's that vision? Tell us the vision. Esoteric. We all want to know. So, like I said, the unconditional love is in my heart, and the unconditional forgiveness is in my head. And whenever something annoying occurs, I say, "What would Jesus do?" And that takes it right out, right out. Right? So we're waiting for Esoteric to come up with the vision. And I think we're going to make a few phone calls to see who's up and about. Hey, buddy, I'm having breakfast, and I'm at a place where I'm live on chat, YouTube. And I just wonder if you're having lunch and you could talk for a few minutes. Give me a buzz if you can. I am going to leave here in, sooner or later and do some of my errands on this side of the county. And then I will come back around 3-ish and be here until they throw me out. And so if you can call me then, that would be good. But then I'm back into the deep green where pretty much I'm not going anywhere. Maybe tomorrow I might. It depends on the weather. It's supposed to get cooler and rainier, which is not a bad thing for me. My plants love it. And anyway, so that's it. Give me a buzz now if you can. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. And remember, read that stuff I sent you. Okay. That's not an order. I just would give us something to talk about. Always yours, your Sensei Al Bob, your griot with a smile. Do. Let's call John Boy. We haven't spoken to Johnny for a while, so let's give him a buzz. See how he's doing. Do. Here we go. Oh, let's see. It was a voice and a golden light that encouraged me to never give up, not to let anyone slander or stop me with smear campaigns. Well, about that. Lacan, who was the French Freud, said when anyone ever talks smack about you, they're talking about themselves. So that's how I look at it.
Please leave your message for 54029.
So homeboy's not around, and so that's the thing about slander, and no one can stop you if love's in your heart. And the best way you deal with any kind of Nimrod or negative entity is to surround it with love. A good example. Here it is. There's Miss Fish. Hey there, Fish. Someone was speaking yesterday, and I thought it was you, but it wasn't. Love is never lost to us. We just choose not to look at it, not to have it in our life. Once we get involved with anxiety, which is an illusion of ego. Um, it draws us into a negative circular path that we just keep on going at. And that's why, I have unconditional love in my heart and unconditional forgiveness in my head. And when something annoys me, I say, "What would Jesus do?" And that, it's like when you got your cell phone and people send you spam and stuff, you just go zing and throw it out. I mean, that's what I do. Right? It was indescribable. You know, if it's indescribable, that means it's unassailable. It can't be attacked or hurt. It can't be drawn away. Indescribable also means that there is two flips of that coin. The indescribable is that the love is so deep that it goes to a place where words don't really speak to it. So that's why soul speak is there. Your body, you are not your body, first off, right? Your body is just an avatar that you use to experience things that will enlighten your spirit, right? And your soul is just a server. It's a Wi-Fi. It brings the experience of your avatar through a mechanism to your spirit that allows your spirit to experience it in a way. Your spirit can't be damaged, can't be hurt, right? But it can be. Is like something that um, it's a work in progress. Spirit is because it's not just you. See, your life, your spirit, is not about you. It's about all of us. The we and me. It's about the work in progress of the burning bush. We are the reflection of the burning bush. At least our avatar is, and that's when Moses asked the burning bush what he was. He didn't answer, "I am who I am." Like said Popeye. No, he said, "I am a work in progress, and you are my reflection." So that's how we have to understand what life is. So people go, "How can there be a God when life sucks so bad?" Well, because God, first off, isn't God. The word God means lover of gold, and so no, we're talking about unconditional love. That is it. So that is the grand maker. Nothing real that is not made with love. That's why we exist to co-create with love's one love, right? Anything else is just ego, and that's okay because it's us trying to understand the dynamic, right? And so when you realize that this dynamic is relevant, it doesn't mean anything. Um, you can put it in perspective. It's like struct, strict parent. That was never there for me when I felt like an alien. Yes, the creator. Well, the creator, the grand creator, not the make believe creator of the Bible or religion. Um, you know, those are just faux. They represent a social political dynamic. And again, anything in this existence is irrelevant. It's an illusion. It's the only proper use is to use it as it was designed, as you are an avatar. It's your experiential ability to suss out what's going on, but inside your higher self, right? So I would suggest esoteric. Get a hold of me at the dude awake 42 at Gmail and let us have a more private conversation. And I can, once I get your email address, I can see, and I can barely see. Um, my eyes are, with the stuff that they're doing to my eyes, I'm seeing really good, like from 5 feet into infinity. So driving at night and all of that, I can do that, right? but still my eyesight to read is, it's actually better. I have to say it's probably 20% better. Still need glasses to read. But if you send me your email, so when people, well, first of all, you wouldn't want to give me any way to connect to me, uh, you know, so send it to me to my email, right, in caps so I can see it, the dude awake 42 at Gmail. But see, when you send me an email, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, I can then just hit the respond button. For a guy like me who doesn't understand the twitchiness of the digital universe, and this sucker is going away. There's so much space things going on that I would say very soon we is not going to have an internet, right? And we're not going to have a lot of things. And then a guy like me, I'm kind of in clover. I live in a place that, I got my photocells, so I got 12 and 24 volts if the grid goes down. I got a well that's brings water to me by electricity, but I also have a spring, and I also collect water. So, and I also have a well head that's when it's raining like this, I don't even need a pump because it's like 200 feet above me, and so once the water is drooling out of, of that well and into a garden hose, you know the suction of that 200-foot hose going down, well, it's really about 1,000-foot hose going down 200 feet, just sucks the water right out. I mean, it's almost an artesian well. So I have water. I have a lot of water. And I don't even need electricity. Now, other people around me, they have no idea how to do that. So, yeah, they're going to have a problem, right? Because they depend on electricity, right? Me, not so much. And I'm down in this holler, and I don't know if you know what a swamp cooler is. Well, my whole holler is one big swamp cooler. At top of the hill, 200 feet up there, where my wellhead is, is usually when it's a sunny day, it's like 60 degrees warmer up there than in my shady holler, right? And it's the only time my man cave gets a little toasty is if I'm not around, leaving the doors open, the windows open. You can get warm, but as soon as I open the windows open and the doors open, it cools right down. And then once the sun goes down over the mountain east of me, west of me, it drops 20 degrees, and by 9 o'clock, by dark 30, it's in that comfy zone of the 60s with 50s. Like last night, it was 58. It was yummy to sleep in. So I'm gonna really, and the blueberries and the blackberries are out. Well, the blueberries came out earlier, and the blackberries are now out, right? And I'm starting to get pears and apples. Like, I mean, hail, global warming. I had these fruit trees that I bought real cheap, and they grew everything grows very nice, but they don't always bear fruit, and now they are. So that's kind of exciting. So, anyone want to send me something from the old PayPal? It still kind of works. Remember the dude awake 42 at Gmail. How about some more likes? Let's get the old cadre above 500 and esoteric, like I say. Give me a ring a ding ding on my email, the dude awake 42 at Gmail, right? Oh man, there's all kinds of. I mean, I live in a gigantic paranormal universe. I have a ley line, right? Goes right through my property, and it's not. It's like because I live in this Sawtooth Mountain accordion. It has been squeezed on my property, so it's above ground, and it's like a bar, right? And I have a friend of mine who's a geologist, and I brought him up here, and he's from ETSU. He's a big scientist guy. And he brought his truck with all his little devices and tools, and man, he couldn't drill through it. He hit it with a laser. It wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't even reflect the light. It just absorbed it. It's an energy sink. And this sucker is, it goes from my property where Bahar does this. So this used to be at the bottom of the mountain, but now it's right across my backyard, about 600 feet. So it's about 600 feet long. At this end, it kind of goes into the mountain on that side, and that side, it goes into the mountain on that side. But where I am, it's like, and it's 20 foot high and 600 feet long, and about, at least it's exposed for about 20 feet, right? It goes into that mountain way more, but. Right. John McPhee. Jamie, if you could send that to me on to my email, I'd like to see whatever you got on John McPhee. Right, and that's the dudewake42 at Gmail. Dudewake42 at Gmail. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's almost. We got about 30% left of battery, and I have been doing this now 26 minutes. So, what else is going on? We are, you haven't seen nothing yet. I've been talking the last 3 years about the big splat, right? Well, in the next few weeks, everyone's got all kinds. The kind of weapons that we see being used are like, Tonka toys compared to the stuff we got, right? We have energy weapons, we have Tesla weapons, we have scalar weapons, and the Russians do, and the Chinas do, and English does, and again, you have to realize all of this is scripted. Bad stuff's going to happen, but no worse than bad stuff has already happened. It's nothing worse. They just make it seem like, oh my God, it's the end of times. We better do what they tell us to do. No. The thing is to get a community around you of friends that share, that care, that grow food together, that you get a workable water source, right? And see, around here, there's a ton of water, not just like on my little deep green, but, within the, 200 square miles, there's tons of, there are all kinds of springs everywhere. And a lot of them have been developed for over 100 years. So they're like paths, and they're places where they're nearby a road and you can park, and they have steps going up to them so you can fill up your bottles with water. So there's a lot of that. And so there's around here anyway. And all the new rich people have no idea about any of that. Right? And there's one moron. He's not a moron. He's just, he bought up this whole chunk of the end of the lake and cut off the top, built like 400, lots that are really got a great view, but not really, because it doesn't see the big lake. It just sees the little snaky part down below it. And it's got a little, the first thing they built was a marina, right? For about, space for everybody who buys a thing can put their boat in the water, right? And when the TVA empties the lake to clean out the coastal, their little marina will be in the mud, and that'll be interesting. So they haven't told people that one. And each one of those lots are very, they're pretty nice, but they kind of, so the road does this, and yes, there are all these nice flat lots, kind of, but if this becomes a rainforest once again, that side of the mountain's just going to wash down, because it's only level because they got stone there, and they call it Crush Run for a reason. It runs, right? So, and they have no water, and there is no water on that side of the mountain. And so they're trying to get the county to, bring the city water, 20 miles out to them. That would cost, I don't know, $20 million. Anyway, so it's, and they have no electricity. They got the pipe in there, but no electricity. Utilities haven't brought it out to that neck of the woods. So, but they sold all those lots for $500,000 a piece, because people looked at their website, said, "Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, I'll buy one." And so Those folks don't have a clue. So- Yep, clarity begins at home. Uh, well, to get John to do anything for anybody other than himself, not really. I mean, he is a generous guy, but it's motivated by his guilt more or less, and so you know, generosity comes from your loving heart, and John definitely has a loving heart. He's just so addled by his internal dialogue. Unless your dialogue is with love's in your heart and forgiveness is in your mind, you're gonna pretty confused conversation. So right now, really, you know, um, I'm just waiting for love's co-creation. Really, I'm waiting for some folk who want to go off and do something really interesting. Right now would be the greatest time to get the band together and take it on the road. Right, because to really accomplish something, you've got to do it. You can't just one person do it, and it takes a crew, right? And so there's the cadre there, but it's not truly assimilating itself as a crew. To do it, anything. Is anybody out there doing anything? In your little neighborhood, are you having potluck dinners and book clubs and things of that nature? And yes, it can be difficult unless you do it with love in your heart. Like there's a group of folk here um, who grew up here like 40 years ago, right? And then they went up to college, and then they went off someplace else, got a career, got some money, da da da. Then mom and dad started to die of cancer because Mamie and Monsanto and Bayer, just blew this place out. And I'm like in the way and where there is no fields to spray. So, and there's so many different mountain ranges between that part of the county and this part of the county that I'm kind of protected. Uh, well, the place to move is in your heart, not so much physically going someplace, right? Um, unless you are, so I'm out in the middle of nowhere, 89% of the time, all by myself, and have no access to the internet, television, radio waves, telephone, nothing, right? Unless I drive out and come to a place like this, I have no access, right? So 89% of the time, I'm by myself, right? So I'm down with that, because like when so I planted everything in my holler, right? I kind of cleared it out, put a lot of drainage, so it wouldn't be the swampy thing. And, so that's kind of why I leave the time I do around 10, 11, because, if the sun is out and I'm on top of a mountain, my little cleared out area is like a microwave oven, right? So, and I have, I can climb up a hill and go into these little niches in the mountain that I have. I have hammocks and tarps over them. So, and they are quite dry too. So they're not very buggy. And so I go up there and just meditate for hours. And the other day, so I've planted all these trees and plants, and I have a lot of medicinals, Helen Campaign, Golden Seal, licorice root, you name it, I got it. And I have to thank the grandmas, 20 years ago, um, helped me do all of this. They took from their gardens and planted along my hill. So over the years, those seeds have gone everywhere. And I have let's see, you need to move to get away to with the map. As long as I stay in the same place. Yeah, like, around here, meth and OxyContin is wiped out the old, um, you know, Appalachian um, communities. Just wiped. When I got here, they were still pretty strong, pretty good, pretty great. And the kids got into it. Their parents said, "Oh, wow, we can make money, making this in the kitchen and selling it." They died from it, and so the grandmas had to once again be responsible for everything, and that killed them. So, um, you know, when I got here, there was a population of about 19,000 in the three counties, and now there's of that ilk of the old traditional holler folk. They're now 3,000. Went from 19,000 to 3,000 in less than 20 years, and you can thank OxyContin, fentanyl, and meth for that. And the powers that be did nothing about it. Right? They took away their living. They took away their waters. They took away all their culture and replaced it with Burger King and Taco Bell. So and if you have any kind of drug problem, you do not want to come to this neck of the woods, because I just drove through Meth Village, and it is such a sad, sad, sad thing. And so anyone who has a drug problem, it's easier to get drugs here than in the big city, So if you have any kind of social problem, any kind of anger problem, any kind of violence problem, any kind of drug problem, any kind of addiction whatsoever, you do not want to come here, because it is so paranormally strong that it amplifies whatever angst you may have to the 10th power. Johnny wanted to come here. I said, John, what are you going to get? I have no place for sleep. I have no money. I have no food for it, unless you're ready to eat bark and grass and dandelions, because that's my diet, except for an occasional beautiful breakfast like I had today. And these guys still give you a really good breakfast for $6. I can always find that in the cushions. So that's how it rolls, right? So the next, this whole summer is going to, like this time next year, unless the population really wakes up, there'll be 1 billion people that have starved to death, and in America there will be millions, because like I get a little assistance from a couple of churches, and they used to give meat and eggs and cheese and vegetables. Now all this one box I had, all it had was white bread and cookies and chocolate cupcakes. I mean, I've got diabetes. I can't eat that stuff. So I keep it in my car, and when I drive by, and there are a ton of homeless people all over this place that spare change on the intersections of roads. And I have no money to give them, but I get out of my car and I give them boxes of cookies and white bread, and that's the only food that the corporate structure is willing and able to give to folk, right? And so now I can, like I said, all year round there is something growing in the forest that I can eat. In the last 4 years I've done that. I've been here pretty much continuously. Now, last winter I went around Thanksgiving and took care of a friend of mine had COVID, and then around mid-January I went to visit Johnny, and then got snowed in up there. So I spent 3 or 4 weeks with Johnny, and it was nothing had changed with Johnny. Still in the same laundry list, still in the same headspace. And I did my best to try and talk to him, to give him an opportunity to make changes in his life. Didn't want to do it. First thing, he has to stop drinking coffee. It's like crack cocaine for him, but he can't. Right? He did stop smoking tobacco, but I don't think he was as addicted to it as caffeine. And so, what can I say? I can be here as your storyteller. That's about my job right now. Let me get away. Let's see. We should go to isolated place. Like I said, this is as isolated as you're going to get, but man, it would rip you apart if you have any kind of self-doubt, any kind of addiction, any kind of anything. Because like I said, meth, oxy, you can get it like bubble gum, right? It's like, and that's what these, like I said, the population went from 19,000 to 3,000 in less than 20 years because of this, right? And it's like I said, unless you're in balance with this place, it'll eat you alive. And that's why the rich people, they went and bought up everything, they ripped it apart, and now they haven't, they can't stand being here. Mm. Yeah, get to Mexico. But again, unless you can be with yourself internally, let's see how much battery do I have left. About 12%. So I'm going to finish up here. I'm going to be back on air um, around 2:30, 3 o'clock. So um, anyone wants to get a hold of me, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. Esoteric, you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me there, right? Okay, so we can talk. Well, anyone wants to talk, so go pick fruit. Yes, I did that. When I between 16 and 21, when I was trying to stay away from the powers that be, who were constantly sculpting me into what they wanted me to be, and using draft as the other side of the coin. I was a hobo. I rode the rails. I hitchhiked. That was in the from 1966 until 2001. I hitchhiked. I rode the rails, and I don't know if that rail culture, the hobo culture, exists anymore. But it was interesting, and I had a skill set. Wherever I went, I could get a job as an electrician and make at least $10 an hour cash because I was really good at what I did, and sometimes way more. And there were a lot of places in that 4-year period that I could have stayed and still, could have made something. Uh, right. Basically, airlines, if you're ready to fly at the whim of the airline, I have a friend that does it, and he goes all over the world for less than $200 a round trip. I mean, because you're constantly flying, and not everyone wants to fly at that time. So, anyway, I'm gonna say I love you guys, and I hope you enjoy this. Yeah, buddy, I'm more than broke, and I live like a millionaire on nothing because of where my heart and mind is, right? And that's where you got to get yours. Right. If we move someplace where you don't know anyone, but again, you have to be. I did that for years. I loved doing that. It was fun being, somebody else. But you have to be fine, down with yourself. You know, Depression comes from your inability to be yourself, to go inside yourself and love yourself. Before you can love anybody, you have to love yourself, because if you have this love that's inconceivable, um, and it's not coming forth through you by loving yourself, love's co-creation. That's what it is called, love's co-creation. You got to do it together. If you expect love to save you, not going to happen, because seeing that is an artificial experience, right? It's not real. It's again more of the same of the ego experience. So, um, mm, anyway, I gotta go. Okay, I love you guys, and I'll get back to you in about 2 hours. Okay. Okay. Boo-doo-boo-boo. Boo-doo-boo-boo. Doo-doo-doo-doo.